Mona Eltahawy. My name is Mona Eltahawy.
What do you do?
I'm a writer and public speaker on Arab and Muslim issues.
What's the last article you wrote?
I wrote an essay a few weeks ago that was recently published called Why Do They Hate Us? About misogyny and the oppression of women in the Arab world.
Why did you write that article?
I wrote that article because this is the most exciting time of my life, the revolution in Egypt and the other revolutions in the Middle East and North Africa. But I'm worried that even though women have fought alongside men and have paid a very high price, as men have, women will be told to wait in order to achieve all their rights, as they've always historically been told to wait. Whether it's after wartime or revolution time, women pay a very high price because they belong to a society that wants to be free, but then when they want to be free of oppression against women, they're told to wait.
Okay, we know all this because you have been all over the news about this.
You asked me, Habibti.
And all the people wrote an op-ed after what you wrote, and that could be a book, all the articles that they wrote after you. So, behind all the news and the articles, who's really Mona Eltahawy? What makes you happy and what makes you sad?
What makes me happy is spending time with my nieces and nephews. I was just with them a few days ago in the Midwest where they live, and I call them the giggles because whenever I'm with them, they make me giggle, they make me laugh. The wonderful thing about children is they have no yesterday and no tomorrow. They live in right now, they live in today. And when you have a stressful job, as I do, where you write about human rights violations and you write for freedom and you try to fight dictatorship and regimes, it's a very stressful job and you get a lot of hate mail as well as love mail. So it really helps me to be with the giggles because they help me to focus on what's happening right now. I also love to dance. Dancing makes me very happy. So I try to dance whenever I can. Even when I'm writing, I have music on and I'll dance in my chair or I'll go to a club and dance. What makes me angry is any kind of injustice. And when people ask
Not
me...
angry, sad.
Oh, sad. Well, sad too. What makes me sad and angry is injustice. And people often ask me, what inspires your columns? And I tell them whatever pisses me off today inspires my columns. So in watching the Arab revolution, or the revolutions in the Middle East and North Africa, I'm sad that a lot of counter-revolutionary forces are trying to destroy our revolutions. And myself, along with so many other people who are from that part of the world, will fight until we are totally free.
So, if you weren't a journalist or a writer, what else would you like to do?
I always wanted to be an actress when I was young. So when I do my public speaking, I feel like I'm performing. So it's a kind of performance art where you stand in front of an audience and you speak to them and you get them carried away in your stories. So if I wasn't a writer, I'd be an actress.
So how many followers do you have on Twitter?
133,000 people follow me on Twitter.
And among them, are they like your real best friends, or are they
Mostly people I don't know. Mostly people from around the world I don't know who follow me either for news from the revolutions in the Middle East and North Africa, or because they found out what happened to me when Egyptian riot police broke my arms and sexually assaulted me. But just to put it in perspective, before the Egyptian revolution began, I had 5,000 followers on Twitter. 5,000. And now it's up to 133,000. So in 17 months, it's gone up from 5,000 to 133,000. So a lot has happened.
So who are they your best friends?
Who are my best friends?
Yeah. When do you meet them? Where do you meet them? And
because I travel so much, I've made friends in many different parts of the world, which I consider a real blessing. So when I come to Norway, I meet with my friends in Norway. When I go to Sweden, when I go to Egypt, I have friends from my days in journalism, because I was a journalist in Egypt for 10 years. So I consider myself to be very lucky in that I have friends in many different places, so that when I travel, it can be very lonely. So it's very important for me to plug into those circles of friends that are all over the world. It's such a global world now that for me, that's the best thing that works.
And when are you going to write your own book?
I've been meaning to write a book for years and years and years. Hopefully this year. This is my promise to myself, that I will finally write my first of many books this year.
And how do you find living away from your homeland, but still following the news very closely? And at the same time, you're also an American, and you should be like following the situation in America. So basically, you're living in two countries. How do you find that? And is it easy, or?
It's very difficult not to be in Egypt, where on the ground following events day by day, but it helps to be outside and inside, because I consider myself an insider-outsider, in that being on the outside gives me a perspective that being just on the inside I would not have. So I'm able to understand what's going on, but from that distance, and able to see it from that perspective that I hope helps to give my writing and my speaking a different kind of depth and analysis. But at the end of the day, I think that, like many of us now, I belong to the world. I don't just belong to Egypt or just to the United States. So I like to think of myself as that global citizen who's concerned about freedom and justice all over the world. So I feel very connected to many places at the same time. And I think increasingly this is how many of us will begin to live. And that's, I think social media is helping many people do that. Even if they don't physically travel, through the connections they make online, they feel much more connected to the whole world. I feel that connection through social media and my actual traveling. So I think people like you and people like me who straddle more than one culture are helping to connect the world in unprecedented ways.
So if you have a message to people who love you and people who hate you, for each one, what would you say?
Actually, my message to people who both love and hate me is the same. Thank you for your interest in my work. And there's something that Emma Goldman, who is, I call myself an anarchist of the Emma Goldman school. Emma Goldman famously said, "If I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution," which summarizes for me the importance of personal freedom and joy and beauty, even as we struggle for freedom through revolution. And one thing that she said when she was writing her autobiography, which was called In My Life, she thanked people, everyone who had come into her life, people who loved her and people who hated her, because she said each one of you has had an impact and left a mark on my life. And that's why I say, both to the people who love me and to the people who hate me, thank you for your interest in my work, because it's all a part of who I am and what I try to contribute to the world.